Male nurses, female firefighters? Yes, as career boundaries erode. Men and women tend to choose different career paths. Researchers have identified this as the biggest reason men make more money. This is called the gender pay gap. If men and women were equally represented across all occupations, would it close that gender pay gap? Teaching is just one example of an occupation segregated along gender lines. Growing up in the 1990s, I didn't have a male teacher until the 7th grade. Data suggests that's still a typical experience. According to the Labor Department, about 80% of elementary and middle school teachers are women. A wide array of other jobs in the United States are overwhelmingly done by one gender or the other. This is true for all kinds of careers. Low-wage cafeteria workers are 61% women. Meanwhile, 75% of chief executives are men. A study by the job search site CareerBuilder shows that could be changing. Women are entering traditionally male-dominated jobs in greater numbers and vice versa. Here is one of the more dramatic examples. A full 95% of firefighters are men. However, nearly a third of new firefighters hired since 2009 have been women, according to the study. On the other side of the coin, just 20% of elementary school teachers are men, yet men make up nearly half of all new hires in the field over the past 8 years. People are thinking differently about which jobs are appropriate for whom. It means certain gender barriers are breaking down. These changes are due to major changes in the U.S. economy. If the trend continues, it could inch women closer to equal pay with their male counterparts. It won't solve every problem, though. The pay gap is a complicated problem without a clean fix. Men still earn more than women, even within the same occupations. There are still very few women in top positions. Emily Liner works at Third Way, a group that studies economics. She says that even though the pay gap remains, the changes are good news. To compile the report, CareerBuilder's researchers drew from Labor Department and state or local sources to find male or female dominated occupations. Then they looked at the gender ratio of new hiring in those jobs between 2009 and 2017. Gender equality hasn't improved markedly for every career. The study finds that women have made inroads in the past 8 years in occupations including CEOs, lawyers, web developers, dentists, sales managers, marketing managers, chemists, and financial analysts. There's even been a big increase in women hired as sports coaches and scout leaders. According to the United States Census Bureau, the number of men in nursing careers, while still small, has tripled since the 1970s. A number of factors could be driving that migration. For men, Liner says, changes happening around the world are altering perceptions of what is acceptable work. Men used to have many of the jobs in factories. Many of these factories have moved to other countries, but every community has an elementary school. Every community has a hospital. So there is place-based work available to them. For both men and women, seeing peers take those less conventional career paths can make a big difference, says Rosemary Hefner, a leader at CareerBuilder. I know someone who does this job who is similar to me. Liner, in her research on how gender is linked to salaries, found that jobs that account for the top 10% of earnings in the United States are almost entirely male-dominated. In contrast, women occupy over 2/3 of the lowest wage jobs and the Labor Department tracks. These include jobs in stores and food service. Even within those low-wage categories, there are often stark gender divides. Parking lot attendants, for example, are overwhelmingly male, and they make about $3,000 more per year on average than cashiers, who are usually female. Another one is cleaners of vehicles and equipment. Liner says they're mostly male and get paid better than maids and housekeepers. Historically, just the influx of women or men into certain careers has influenced how people view them. It has also changed how much money people can make. Computer programming started out as unglamorous work done primarily by women. It then became better paying and respected as men became the majority. The reverse is true for a number of jobs now occupied primarily by women, but not all of them. Pharmacists are one group of workers that has both increased the number of women and retained high earnings. Pharmacy is the second highest paying profession in the United States. It has a smaller pay gap than other prestigious fields, including business and law.